This is the perfect 3-ingredient, light whipped, fluffy, softest butter you will ever get to make. And it is super simple, just like the other one that I posted. The formulas are extraordinarily similar, but there's a little bit of an oil switch up. And in terms of how I mix it, you guys are going to see this is a single phase formula. So I am going to just be heating the ingredients all in one. And if you do your body butters like this, it's super simple. A lot of the times, especially in cases like this, it'll even bring out the scents of the oils, which surprisingly, this is a strawberry and blueberry oil. It has both of those oils in it. And surprisingly enough, with that, it actually smells like it. And for those of you that make body butters and oils and all that stuff, you guys know that most of the time when you get an oil, like if you get cherry kernel oil, for example, it doesn't really smell like cherries, but these actually do smell like the oil. So my skin smells like a smoothie right now. Very sweet notes of blueberry and even strawberry. You can really smell them. They're not super fragrant, I would say. Like, it's definitely not a fragrance type of oil, but this one is super unique. So here's all of our ingredients right here. There's our blueberry oil. I do get unrefined because it gives that nice kind of purplish bluish hue. And so generally, you guys, whenever I have another carrier oil, like say for example the last one used rice bran oil, I tend to put that in the heat phase. And these are two oils that I would generally do in the end phase, and that's the strawberry oil, strawberry seed oil. Don't be phased by the redness of it. That's just a little bit of red mica that I put to give it that nice kind of strawberry flavor, or color, I should say. It's totally not mandatory. So I just melted it together on low heat, by the way. Low heat. Don't scorch it or you'll ruin it. And then I went ahead and let it cool. You guys can freeze it or do it at room temperature. This is solidified at room temperature, just because sometimes freezing it can cause it to, like, once it gets in a regular room temperature, it'll melt because it was frozen in that colder temperature. So this is the texture that you want to make sure it gets to pre-whip. Okay. Otherwise, it's not going to solidify. It's going to be too liquidy, too runny, and you're going to be pretty much stuck trying to whip it forever, for ages, and you generally don't have to. So you want to let it get this type of texture. It's not too liquidy, but it's not super solid either. It's the perfect texture for whipping. So we're going to go ahead and get right to it. And generally in this phase, you could, this is when I would be adding in the other oils if I used like I said, another type of carrier oil. This is where I would put like all the specialty oils is what I call them, the delicate ones that shouldn't really typically go in the heat phase, but they can, as long as, like I said, you're not scorching your oil or your butter. Make sure you're doing it in a lower type of heat, especially on double boiler. So you're just going to stir it intermittently. I'm just doing it all at once here, and it takes a little bit to fluff up, but basically you just want to whip it. And the thing with body butters is that, you know, they take time. A lot of times people can whip them and they get to this point, and as you can see, it's still liquidy, and people kind of just get defeated because they're just like, oh, it's not okay, this is as whipped as it's going to get. And then you walk away and then you come back and it's all firm. And so it's kind of like very tricky, but you just have to experience with it, and kind of know what's going on, because otherwise it is going to get pretty confusing. And even after the whip, I let this set for overnight for 12 hours at least, at room temperature, in order to get the final texture to where you know specifically what it's going to be. Otherwise, it could be still liquidy, it could be a little bit firm, but this one generally tends to stay at this temperature. So you know, that's why I like this one, because a lot of people don't like when it firms up. But also, one thing, whenever you do a lighter whipped fluffy body butter, the ones that are thick will be at a higher melting point, so they will be less prone to melting, but they still will melt because they are oils and butter. So you have to think about it in the same process you melted them down. It's the same way that they're going to melt, but now that you put even more liquid oils, it's going to be even easier to melt. So that is something that you really want to keep in mind mind, if you're going to make this type of thing and try to ship it or sell it, it is going to melt. Sorry to break it to you. If you want to get into non-melting types of butters, you either have to cold ship along with quicker shipping speeds, or you just have to figure out an emulsified butter formula that is close in texture, I would say. And that's also pretty relatively easy to do. Of course, it's not going to be whipped because it has water, but you can still get a very similar, light, creamy, airy type of texture to it, as long as you just know what to do with your ratios. So as you can see here, I just wanted to show you guys the whole process of me whipping so you guys can see approximately how long it takes. So body butters do take a long time. They do require patience. They do require for you to just kind of wait and see and temper with it. Even after this point, like I said, you are going to set it aside. You are going to completely let it cool, and you are going to wait in order to see what your final texture is. And if you don't like the final texture, then if it gets too firm, you could add a little bit of oil. And if it's too runny, then you'll have to melt some hard butter back in. So this is the final texture after I let it set. It's like very cloudy, okay? That's what I do have to say. This melts very smoothly into the skin. It's a cloudy, creamy, but very light type of texture because of the ingredients selected. I generally tend to select quick absorbing types of oils whenever I do my body butters, because the faster absorbing you do, the more lightweight they're going to be. But I will say, if you do have really dry skin, you are going to want to use oils or butters that take a little bit longer to absorb, and you're going to want to make sure that you're using with water properly. Of course, being that this doesn't have a preservative, you're going to want to make sure you keep water far away from the butter. You're going to want to open this nowhere near any running water or water in the air, like when you're taking a shower. Before you take a shower, you're going to scoop some out into like a little bowl or some sort of platter on the side, and then you're going to get your body butter and kind of use it as immediate use when you don't have a preservative. So that's it. I hope you guys like it, and I'll see you on the next one.